Welcome to Sports Connection. I'm Darrin Joins, Williamson County Schools Athletic Director. I'm here with my co-host, Mr. Tate Mathews. Tate, we've got spring sports going, which we talked a little bit about last week, and we've got lots of exciting news in WCS athletics we need to talk about today.
Lots of exciting news. The great thing about spring, we talked about it yet last week with the sports. The great thing is there's so much going on. The bad thing is there's so much going on. And kind of the same thing. There's some events coming up, man. They're rapid fire. They're all great. They're all huge. But, I mean, it's bam, bam, bam. So, yeah, we got a lot to talk about, and it's going to be a fun April and May.
And it's really, honestly, hard to get it all in because there's so much that happens every week.
Yeah, if you're looking for something to do, it's not hard to find it.
It's really not.
Just pick one of the 9 schools and go to them.
Something that
Hope you and the Joins family had a happy Easter.
We did. How about the Mathews?
It was great.
Oh, how did the pickleball go?
Pickleball did not take place. The coach is struggling with a back injury, but there were some very spirited games of cornhole.
Anything that we can mention on air, or just maybe we ought to just say just spirited?
Jenna, Mathews, and yours truly took home the title in cornhole. So.
And who was the coach's partner?
Jackson.
I knew it.
Which is pretty embarrassing, really, that little sister beat him. But
I don't know if I should say this on the longest running show on WCTV because I'm putting it out there for people to hear. I think the coach might be partial to
Jax.
To Jack.
They're pretty tight. It's okay. I'm partial to Jenna. Make no bones about it.
And then Big Brother's on his own.
No, I love him. I just like Jenna.
I bet she's.
Oh, yeah, they're tight.
Okay.
It's funny, right? You have kids, you hear it. Everything your parents tell you growing up, you're like, well, whatever. And then, like, are all of them not true? But anyways, you love them the same, but you love them differently. I know that's true in our house.
And the different part is where it's not the same.
That's correct. I mean, they're because they're different. You love you. I mean, so anyways.
Well, that's fine.
Life lessons, Coach Joins and
maybe that's
sock and jock guy.
Maybe that's a new segment.
I think that'd be great. Deep Thoughts by Jack Handy.
That's great. Hey, listen, let's talk about Jamal Stewart.
Yep.
We haven't mentioned that on the show. Coach Stewart, the new football coach at Centennial High School. We appreciate Coach Kreisky and what he did for that program. He's now with the enemy. So, Coach Kreisky, if you're watching, we hope you lose every game to the WCS teams.
You know who he opens with? The Brentwood Bruins.
You'll be 0-1.
I can't wait for that pick 'em.
It's going to be great. It's going to be great. I'm going to tell you right now, so it won't be a secret, I'm picking Brentwood.
Well, I think everybody knows that, even our friends in Gallatin.
Coach Stewart, who did a great job at East Nashville, a couple of runner-up finishes for the football program there, has a history at Hillsboro High, helping out there. I know you've got a relationship with Coach Stewart, been servicing that account there for a little bit. He's impressive. He's really impressive.
He's very impressive, and he's grown up the right way. I actually first got to know him when he was at Overton. He was an assistant at Overton with the Bobcats, and then went over to Hillsboro and spent time. He spent time with Coach Williams at Overton, and then Coach Fitzgerald at Hillsboro. And we've talked about this sometimes. And in basketball, sometimes these younger coaches, they say, I want to be a head coach right away, or I want to be a coordinator. You know what I'm saying? And you're not even really ready. He worked his way up, was around some good people, and then took over that East Nashville job. And what he did there is just really remarkable. Seriously, I mean, they didn't even have when they started off, they didn't have a stadium. Then they get a stadium. They don't have a practice field. There's a lot of things. There's a lot of hurdles there that make it hard to build a state championship caliber football team, and that's exactly what he did. Back-to-back 3A state championship games, and he's not in which none of us are, right? We're not in the participation trophy market, but both of those runner-ups were to Alcoa. They don't play by the same set of rules. They just don't. It's not an excuse. They don't. There's a lot of people, a lot of really good teams that moved out of 3A and went up to 4A. And the only reason they did that, they didn't want travel to Marshall County and Tullahoma and Montgomery Central for region games. They wanted to get away from Alcoa. East Nashville went head-to-head with them, and he did a fantastic job building that program. Players, coach, they love him, play hard for him. It was a great hire. And I think we can say this, but I think Dr. Dyson deserves, just 2 thumbs up. He identified who he wanted. I think, he went through the interview process, made sure, but I think early on he knew he was very interested in Jamal. Early on he decided that that's who he wanted, and he went and got him. And, I think it's a great hire for Centennial, for WCS. Very excited about it. And I do know this too. There's been several. I think the staff that he's building is really good. They're having opportunities other places, and they're turning them down because they want to come be a part of this, from what I understand. So very exciting.
The athletic director and boys basketball coach, Jeremy Moore, want to give him a shout out too. He wanted this hire. He knew this was best for Centennial football, and more importantly, he knew it was best for the school.
No doubt about it.
The applicants that they had.
Yeah, and that's kind of the seen and the unseen. That's an unseen part. Jeremy Moore. I've always said this about Chad Kirby. Coach Kirby's the baseball coach. He loves that program, but he knows, he believes that football has to be strong, and he's willing to make decisions as the athletic director that sometimes the baseball coach might not make. Right, and Coach Moore is just like that. Coach Moore knows the best thing for that boys basketball program is to have a strong football program. You're right. He was a big part. And Coach Greg Glass, he was part of that hiring process as well. So, yeah, I think it was great. I think it was a win-win, and I think it's going to be very exciting. I just can't wait. Coach Stewart's a quarter zip, flat bill guy. I can't wait to see him in a Columbia short sleeve quarter zip.
I want to see a matchup with him and Coach Hester, because they both wear the quarter zips.
Yeah.
Now, not the flat bill, but the visor, very prominent.
Flat bill versus visor.
That'd be fun.
And they're friends. They're friends.
They are.
They coached in the All-Star game together and got really tight. So, and I think one cool thing that we talk about, I think our Williamson County coaches, for the most part, more than anywhere else that I know of, get along, and I think Will kind of deserves a little bit of an assist on this hire too. I think he was a sounding board for Coach Stewart, and very encouraging towards him taking the job.
Listen, Miss Hester, I know you're watching. Before we give Coach Hester too much credit, though, remember, Ravenwood, 6A. Centennial,
5A.
5A. So, hey,
good point. See, a coach. Good point.
No, he did, though. Coach Hester did. Coach Hester's one of those guys, and I think he also understands when the district is strong. That's a good thing, too.
100%.
So I think that's
Look at
part
the
of that.
SEC.
That's right.
They brought in Oklahoma and Texas.
Right.
They didn't bring in Wake Forest and Bowling Green, Ohio.
I'm sure as a Kentucky fan, I got a little nervous about that, but hey, it'll make them better.
That's right.
It'll make them better.
You got the right guy.
Hey, some other news. I know we've talked about this, but we've got some more specifics here. Barbara Campbell, former volleyball coach at Brentwood High School. She's going to be inducted in the National High School Hall of Fame. The National High School Hall of Fame. Now, a couple things. She's the 14th person from Tennessee and the 7th coach since that started in 1982. And when you look at the people that are in it from Tennessee, Steve Spurrier being one. So she's in that company and she deserves it. 8 state titles straight, 8 straight, 16 total. 1,765 wins. Those both lead, all those numbers lead the state of Tennessee. In fact, and I don't have this in front of me, when she retired, she was like top 3 or 4 in wins ever in volleyball nationally. TSSAA Hall of Fame in 2018. So shout out to Coach Campbell. Love Coach Campbell, what she did in that program. And she's still, not in a way that is intimidating. You'll look up in a big-time match for Brentwood, and she's up there in the crowd rooting on the team. She's still excited about it. Oh, I mean, you can tell she wants it to continue.
No doubt about it. I mean, that's her. That's her baby, man, and she loves it and wants to succeed. And that doesn't surprise me either. You know, one thing that she did, all those wins, a lot of times when you win that many games, your opposing coaches they don't like you. I never heard another volleyball coach say anything bad about Coach Campbell, and she was kicking their tails for 30 plus years. You know, I thought when Coach Flatt got out at Brentwood Academy, I didn't think anybody would break his record. Well, boy, I was wrong on that one. Gary Rankin has shattered that record. And so I thought I learned my lesson of don't say will never be broken, right? But I just don't. The state championships maybe because of all the divisions. But 1,765 wins. I don't know that this one's going to be broken.
And how about 8?
You're going to have to coach 30 plus years to do that.
8 straight.
Right. I'm not willing to go out on that one again because we've got the D2A intramural league where you could win. Right.
Who's in the finals of that one, Tim? Give me what my.
Well,
give me a nickname final. You don't have to tell me the schools, but give me.
Well, it's usually okay. I got one. It's usually Good Pasture. Who's good? But it's usually Good Pasture versus the Ocoee River Dump. All right, like that just doesn't get me revved up. So there's a chance on that, but the 1765, I just don't see that one happening because you're going to have to win. You know. You're going to have to coach 30 plus years and win most of your games every year to do it.
Well, when I saw that number, and I know volleyball's different. When you do well, you play, 45, 50 matches?
Right.
So I coached a sport where you typically, if you do well, you play 35 games. I was a head coach for 19 years and didn't coach in half of that many.
Right.
I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean,
yeah, I just don't see it happening.
It's unbelievable.
It's really unbelievable. That's awesome. And then, for her she's going to be in the same conversation as Steve Spurrier. That's pretty strong.
It's very strong. Willco Awards.
Let's go.
Our annual, this is the 9th annual, by the way, the 9th annual Willco Awards, June 20th at the factory at Franklin. Red carpet show at 5, awards at 7 o'clock. And like you talked about, before you know it, we're going to be talking about finalists and working on that right now.
The Golden Ticket Tour.
The Golden Ticket Tour.
They love it, don't they?
People get excited to get that golden ticket.
They should.
They do. It means something to them when they get that.
Right.
People still mention, hey, it's a Willco finalist, or I wasn't a Willco. They start mentioning they weren't a finalist. I'll be back in a minute.
Sorry, I got to take this photo. At the factory.
At the factory. DP helping us out down there.
Coming through as always. You pulling double duty again this year, right?
And of course. And listen, and get some new twists that we're going to have for the show that we want to keep kind of a secret for now.
About the actual Willco show?
In particular, starting with the red carpet.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
But we're not revealing that yet.
No.
I will say this to those who have not been, you should be coming anyways. But there are some renovations and some additions that are taking place at the factory that will be ready come June 20th. I promise you. Before maybe you could say, well, it's a long event. And you really get there and there's not a whole lot. Trust me, you're going to want to come.
Lots of restaurants.
Restaurants being added, yeah.
It's going to be nice. I think we're going to see a difference this year. You fast forward another year, and it's really going to be incredible down there. I really like what they're doing down there at the factory. And the last announcement, and certainly not the least, working on this for a few years too, the Willco Workout. Yep. We're dubbing it the Workout.
Why?
Because it's the one.
That's right.
April 29th at Centennial High School. It's 9 until noon. The public is welcome to come out. You can't be hanging out on the track, though. We're looking at our top football prospects, up to 10 per school, so that's 90 total from the 9 WCS schools. And they're showcasing their talents for all levels of college coaches. So it's a combine. We got to be, with NCAA approval, we couldn't call it combine, but it's combine-like. We'll be getting their some measurements, their height. They'll run the 40. They'll do the broad jump, but then they'll do some matchups like the quarterbacks, wide receivers, and running backs will all do some things together. The O-line, D-line will do some things together. The DBs and linebackers, there'll be some things for them as well. But it's going to be an opportunity, and I say, go back to this, all levels. So what you see out there, if we got parents out there, we want to educate. It's an educational kind of show too.
Yeah.
What happens a lot of times when somebody goes to a combine and they pay for it, which I'm not judging it, but that's what happens. Let me tell you who can't be there. The FBS coaches. They can't do it because of NCAA rules that go along with that. So you're not going to see any of the Power 5 schools. You're going to see some Power 5 schools at this particular event. So I am more than pumped up about it. And it's the workout because, trust me, it's the only one where this is happening in Tennessee.
It's the only one that's happening in Tennessee. And you're right. It's there's going to be Power 5. We're talking not Group of 5. We're talking Power 5 schools there. That is a huge, huge win for the district, for these young men. It's very cool. And the thing I love about it is our coaches are going to be working it. The head coaches are going to be there helping run it, be there to talk about these young people. The assistant coaches will be running drills. And I love that too, man. Those guys, those juices will get flowing. It'll be good. So, but yeah, so much so. Think about this. A lot of what college recruiting has become now, highlight tapes, right? I don't mean it in a bad way, but it is what it is. It's a highlight tape. You can put lipstick on a pig, right? Okay, so the college coaches don't so much like the highlight tapes as much. There's also so many prospects from all across the country, they can't possibly watch all the film. Well, they get a guy or they get a recommendation here, or the guy gets on their radar, gets on their board. Okay, it says that Adam Jones is 6'2.5". Is he really 6'2.5"? And a big part of it is they want to stand, they want to see a guy face to face. You got 9 schools up to or around 90 prospects that are going to be there. And there's going to be some things come out of this. Okay, hey man, that kid's better looking than I thought. And then it starts evolving the recruiting process. So, if you were to put a price tag on this for these young people, whatever you told me it is, I'd buy it. So, it's huge.
And what is the cost for them?
Zero.
It's
kind of like it's the same cost as that independent state championship team's loss column. Zero. They're going to be in the combine gear with the fresh logo. You were talking about we talked about this weekend, but you were talking about how the golden ticket, that's something that these young people want. I would call it like a badge of honor. Being a part of the workout is a badge of honor. For
getting the Adidas compression gear.
Yeah.
You got to earn it.
You got to earn it, man. And when you wear it, people will know, oh, you participated in that.
That's right.
It's going to be cool.
Well, and I appreciate Mathews Team Sports and Adidas being a part of that. You're going to have us looking good as always. And then also, you'll have your Saturday show out there.
We'll be on location. It's going to be fun, man. You'll be a part of it. Krager will be there. Pulliam will be there. Joe will be there. Have some coaches on. It's going to be fun, man. Come out and just stay in the stands, but come out and participate. Hopefully the weather will be nice. It'll be a fun event to be around. I think it'll be well attended.
I'm really looking forward to in the next couple of weeks when the logo reveals of who's coming, who's going to come. And I'll just give you just a little taste of one. We had a school out of Texas that's a Power 5 that said, we'll be there.
That's unbelievable. Seriously.
It's going to be cool.
That involves a plane trip.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Well, and let's talk reality here. Those guys make their rounds. You'll see the schools put out, hey, want to thank so-and-so for coming by and seeing us today. That's what they do. One, you might have someone that they're wanting, but you might eventually have. So they want to make those rounds. When they can go to one spot and visit 9 head coaches legally, they're going to do it.
It's a no-brainer.
No-brainer. And appreciate Centennial High School for Coach Stewart. Welcome to Williamson County, and y'all are hosting the.
All right. And we told you this. It's a little bit bigger over here.
It's a little different. Tate, let's talk a little track and field. Last week, we had a little rain out, so the Hartman relays didn't quite finish up. But here's no surprise. Brentwood's boys and girls both won. And if you look at those team scores, Tate, Brentwood wins it. First place on the girls' side with 134 points. Second place had 112. Third had 84. On the boys' side, 139.5 won the event. Second was 83. So second place was 56 points behind Brentwood. So they won those handily.
Yeah, they're cruising right along. Saw Coach Brock the other day, and he's very excited about, which he is every year, but he's very excited about both these teams. Barring injuries, bus delay, I don't see any way the Lady Bruins don't win the state championship again in track. The boys, they're going to be right there in the conversation.
They've got a shot.
I had a flashback of the green and gold of Memphis Overton. I think Memphis Overton, Brentwood boys, they're going to have some something to say about the boys' side. But yeah, they just keep reloading, and those two track and field programs are very impressive.
There were a couple of guys running the 100. Memphis Overton being one. They'd look good in that compression gear. I can assure you the college coach will be making some notes about them.
Yeah, well, the one, I can't remember his name now, the one that won it, he didn't even play football. They were trying to get him to. He's like, nah, I'm good. He's going to end up probably in the Olympics one day. But yeah.
It's incredible. Incredible. But
hey,
Brentwood, you're right. Brentwood, look out.
What's the recipe for upsetting them?
Oh, of course, your famous saying.
Death by a thousand cuts.
Well, I was noticing that too as you look at the individuals, and I want to shout out our teams. On the girls' side, Nolensville 7th, Ravenwood 8th, Independence 11th, Franklin 13th. On the boys' side, Ravenwood 3rd, Nolensville 4th, Franklin 8th, Independence 12th. But you look at the individual winners. So on the girls' side, you're right, a lot of Brentwood there. Oatsville, high jump, Brentwood. Long jump and 100 hurdles. Sophie Yount, doing a good job there. 800, Leah Banavac. And then look at the relays. The 4x2, 4 and 8, all Brentwood. Claire Stegall from Nolensville, 1600. But on the boys' side, you see a lot of schools represented in terms of wins, but the Brentwood team significantly ahead of second place.
Yep, without a doubt. Well, and on both sides, nobody does the relays like Brentwood High.
They don't.
They just don't. And you mentioned high jump, Daisy Oatsville.
She's pretty good.
She's really good, man. And you're going to keep hearing that name more and more. There's been so many track and field. There's been so many great field athletes to come out of Brentwood High. She's going to be another one. She's going to be a name they'll talk about after she's gone. And then Donovan Starr just keeps on. I think he's going to win every high jump event that he's in all the way up to the state championship. Hopefully he can get it there. So, yeah, a little bit more parity on the boys' side in the events, but not in the overall team score.
Mason Green from Ravenwood, shot put. Brody Chapman, Brentwood, 3,200. Again, relays, they win the 4x400, 4x800. Aiden Carter, 110 hurdles for Brentwood. 300 hurdles, Morgan Lewis, Nolensville. And here's a guy we've been talking about a lot the past couple of years. Sterling Weldon from Nolensville. He wins the triple jump and the 400. That's a pretty good combo there.
It is. And the 400 is a tough man or tough lady event. You win the 400, you're a tough cat. Obviously, you can run, but you're a tough cat. Hey, we were talking about you ever seen The Blind Side? Remember when that movie was filmed and they're sitting there watching Michael Orr do the Oklahoma drill, and the assistant goes, might as well go home, boys. Fulmer's here. You remember that part? That was when Fulmer was really getting pretty much whoever he wanted.
Yes, and they were all the big
whole thing is Fulmer's here. We might as well all go home. What do you think happens when Claire Stegall shows up for the 1,600 or the 3,200? Do you think they all go, oh, gosh?
It's over. Remember last year at the state?
Yes.
And we're like,
I'm not kidding.
Is she running a different event?
I thought they all I was like, they had a pile up I was like, there's no way she's that far ahead.
They were just piled up in her dust because it was actually silly looking.
It was significant. Yeah. I'm pumped up.
Love the track and field.
Yeah. And the Hartman relays, Mother Nature didn't really help, but as always, they got it in and did a great job.
Let's talk a little softball. Now, this one, there's a reason for some of this, too. Centennial in 3 innings, 18-0 over Franklin. Franklin was down to pitcher number 3, which, for those of you that may or may not know anything about softball, that's going to be tough. Down to pitcher 3, so that didn't work out great. The first 6 hitters reached base. They were up 12-0 at the end of 1. Winning pitcher, Sidney Lord. How about the sister act there for Centennial? Alyssa Johnson, 4 RBI. Lauren Johnson, 3 for 3, 2 runs, couple runs batted in. Franklin earlier in the week had defeated Overton, 10-0. So Coach Serban got that squad turning the corner the past couple of years. They've got to be the favorite to win that side. Them and Brentwood.
Yeah.
Obviously, Brentwood had the big 6-0 win, so those are the 2 teams.
Yes.
On that side, it appears.
Fantastic. They're even in the conversation where they were a few years ago. So
barely had a program.
Hey, man.
I mean, that's the truth.
That's right. But he stayed with it. He's built it. And
he cares about it.
He cares a bunch.
How about this pitching duel? Nolensville, 2-0 win over Brentwood. Now, this seems like fiction, but it's not. Ryland Smith from Nolensville, 17 strikeouts. Marina Mason, 13. And it's actually a back-to-back weeks softball joins gym. Now get this.
This is strong. I mean, you rarely disappoint. This is strong.
Well, I got to give some credit.
Or it's either total BS, which I don't think it is.
I've got to give some credit to my man Pulliam, too. So there were 209 pitches thrown in that game.
Okay.
149 of them were strikes. That's 71%. 75 out of 107 for Ryland. 74 out of 102 for Marina. So you can tell by the number of pitches. They were efficient because they had similar number of pitches.
Yeah.
You pretty much weren't getting on base. And when you did...
Well, there were 30 strikeouts.
J.C. Bilbrey of Nolensville drove in the first run in the 3rd inning, but really outside of that, and they scored again with a couple back-to-back singles later, but it was hard to come by. When you have that kind of pitching, it's errors, it's a bloop single here or there, maybe you got a slapper up there doing their thing, but that's a lot of fun when you watch pitching like that. I used to think that was boring, watching that many strikeouts, till you watch it up close and personal.
It's intense.
It's intense.
I love it. And here's the thing, man. When you have a pitcher like either one of those, you have a chance, man. Come tournament time, that's what's encouraging if you have one, and scary when you face one. When you have a pitcher that's that good and is that on, they can beat anybody that day, So that's pretty neat to watch those two build like that. But, yeah, you're right. If you're a fan of runs and bats, this was not the game for you. But you like pitcher duels, that's going to be tough to top.
That's pretty fun. May get a chance to see one another in the region tournament.
I think we will.
Summit, speaking of a powerhouse lately, 7-1 win over Dixon County. Multiple hits in that game for Audrey Cathy, Ashlyn Easley, Tarek Scher, a triple in that particular game. Page lost a 9-inning game to Tullahoma 2-1, but I want to give a shout-out to the pitcher, Shelby Buffington. 12 strikeouts Ks in that game. Let's talk a little baseball, Tate, as we're finishing up our time here today on Sports Connection. Franklin and Centennial, thanks Overton and Hillsboro for making the league turn out this way. They split. Game 3 didn't count. Centennial wins 7-0 at Franklin. Franklin wins 5-2 at Centennial. Ryan Sweeney, 10 strikeouts in that Centennial win. Drew Whalen, 13 Ks for Franklin. And I love, every time I think about Drew, bowling, man, it's so awesome. Caleb Anderson.
Is that your favorite multi-sport combination?
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
It's my favorite. And Caleb Anderson, Xavier commit.
Yeah.
3 for 3, couple runs driven in. How about that Nolensville-Brentwood game? I thought this was cool. So Vanderbilt, obviously big powerhouse. Ethan McIlvain committed to go there. They'll invite teams down to play.
I think it's very smart.
Final score 11-0, not 11-0. So Brentwood's got a pretty good program.
I don't think people are talking enough, and that's probably how Coach Hudson likes it. I don't think people are talking enough about Nolensville.
5 straight wins.
Against quality opponents. We're not playing the sun drop sundry dump and getting wins. You know what I'm saying? These are against quality programs. 11 Ks, 2 hitters. He threw a 2-hitter. He had 2 hits, including a 2-run single. He had 12 Ks against Columbia. He had, 15, 16 the game before that. He is on fire.
Well, listen, I don't want to make anybody in the district mad, but when you think about the Willcos, it's kind of hard to
go against him
because he's the dominant pitcher and he bats.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't. They're like, he's just gonna pitch. No, he drove in 2 runs.
Yeah.
He had 2 hits and he drove in 2 runs and he gave up 2 hits with 11 strikeouts.
He's
a real.
Every time he steps on the field, most of the time to every time he's the best pitcher, and then there's an argument he's the best hitter. So yeah, that's tough to beat. You talking about the split? I hate it too. Franklin Centennial. I don't know if I can say this, but I'm gonna say to you. I always heard my father say a tie is kind of like kissing your sister. I'd love to know how Coach Whidbey and Coach Boffman, they got to be mad about that.
Well, and I'll say this. I apologize to the viewers. I don't know what happened in Game 3 because it didn't matter anyway.
That's right.
I mean, now you look at another example. This was kind of a surprise. It shows you how deep the county is. Ravenwood wins a series over Indy. Indy's been kind of the talk of the state, really.
Yeah, ranked number 1 in the TBCA poll.
At Ravenwood wins 3-2, Game 1. At Indy, Ravenwood wins 5-4. Luke Houston with a diving catch to secure the win. He also went 2 for 4 at the plate, had an RBI. Game 3, which didn't matter. It does matter because it's total wins, but Independence comes back and wins 12-0. But a lot of people were surprised, including yours truly, that Ravenwood won. I know Ravenwood's good and they've got a really good program. I didn't think they'd win that series.
Well, I mean, if you look at it, nothing would tell you that they would. And I don't know for sure, but my guess is that Game 1 win was probably versus Cleaver. Independence probably through Cleaver.
That's right.
That doesn't happen much. But I've always thought that about Ravenwood's baseball team. I don't ever remember when they were like, they've had some, but usually they're kind of, above 500. I don't remember them being like runaway leader with victories in the regular season. But I'm telling you, man, they're tough, like they are in football.
It's where the nickname came from.
They wear you out come tournament time, man. They're going to spoil somebody's plans.
It's where our man, Teddy C., got his nickname.
Mr. May.
Because when it mattered, they're just doing their thing, trying to figure out who they are, giving people opportunities on the team. We're going to try you in some spots. But when it matters, Mr. May, it was his time. Now it's Mr. September.
That's right.
Not October, although in Major League Baseball, now it's November. Don't they finish up the World Series in November?
I can't keep up with it.
Flag football, Tate, no games this past week. Took off for Easter, but we'll be back in action this coming week. Week 3.
Is Franklin sitting number 1 at the top of the AP poll?
They're sitting number 1 at 4-0. Who I'd be nervous about is Ravenwood, because last year they were 6-2. People forget this, and they dominated that tournament. And the tournament this year is at Ravenwood. Doing it on campus this year. The Titans are redoing their field. So,
you know who I'd be worried about? You didn't ask.
No.
Independence.
Oh.
I'm getting reports that Miss Brown, kind of like last year, Raven.
Oh.
She's pretty intimidating out there.
So
she can make plays.
So this was kind of funny, and not that he was making an excuse, but Coach Forte of Indy, he was reporting the scores, and he said, we had the prom Saturday. He said, so prom kind of won out. So I'm not making any excuses, but it kind of won out.
Happens.
So, they stay up too late and all that stuff. But,
I get it.
Glad they were safe.
Yes.
That's the main thing.
Can't wait for the tournament.
Looking forward to it. Tate, as always, appreciate you being here.
See you next week.
Thank you for joining us for Sports Connection. We'll see you next time.